Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Game on Cloud 9 here, and I'm here to bring you guys a new Bleach Chapter 530 prediction. Now, 529 of Bleach was one of those type of chapters where you go ahead and you read through it, you look at everything. Of course, there was two different parts of this week's chapter. And after looking at the flashback, after it got started and we had the cliffhanger that we had at the end of the chapter, I kind of thought to myself, even though things don't really seem like they're really kicking off at right at this moment, you can already tell that things are going to heat up really fast and things are about to get really crazy. And obviously the cliffhanger kind of gave it away that things are going to get pretty hectic. Now, before I go ahead and get into everything, I'm going to give a quick synopsis of it like I usually do. Then I'll get into my prediction and just my overall thoughts of everything. Now, this week's chapter, obviously, we went back to Oetsu, and I thought we were gonna like it's kind of weird how Kubo decided to do it because I didn't think we were gonna go back to Oetsu. And at first, Oetsu, I kind of had the feeling, or I thought he was gonna go ahead and pretty much repeat the same thing that he repeated the previous week, and talking about Ichigo and of course him going back to his roots. Or I should say not the previous week, but the week before, when he was talking about Ichigo going back to his roots and how the Asauchi didn't teach him or they wouldn't help him. And he kind of went a little bit further this week and kind of explained and, actually said that he knew from the get-go Ichigo really wasn't going to be able to accomplish fixing his Bankai, being able to reforge the blade, because he didn't get the Asauchi from him. All the Shinigami that we've seen in Soul Society, all the Asauchi came from Oetsu. Like even Kenpachi Zaraki, he found an Asauchi, picked it up and started using it. Thus, of course, eventually became his Zanpakuto. But Ichigo, no, that wasn't the case. So that's why he was saying that, and he was even saying to Renji that Ichigo needs to be able to figure out his roots. It's not because he was just wanting to basically say, get out of Soul Society, Ichigo, you're not like us, or something like that. It was like, I guess, the vibe I get from it is that he really just can't help Ichigo. Like, there's no way. If it's not from him, if he didn't create the Asauchi, there's no way for him to be able to actually fix Ichigo's Zanpakuto. So obviously, Ichigo's going to have to figure out some type of way to fix his Zanpakuto. Or there's always the slight possibility, maybe he'll even give up his Shinigami powers. Maybe he won't actually use it, and maybe he'll become predominantly Quincy. Now, I mean, I'm hoping that's not the case, and it probably isn't, but the only reason why I say that is because he did leave behind the substitute Shinigami pass. So he may have either left it behind, maybe as a symbolic way, like his Shinigami days are done, and he's going to pick up maybe a new fighting ability and maybe start training under Quincy powers, or maybe he left that behind so that when he does go do his Quincy power or Quincy training, then he'll actually maybe focus more on that, and then eventually after he learns how to master his Quincy powers, he'll get the badge back, and then he'll start, of course, going back to his Bankai training. So maybe it's kind of like saying he's casting away his Shinigami powers aside for now, just temporarily. Maybe that's what the symbolic value was a few chapters ago. Now, after the whole Oetsu part, after he explained that, we ended up going back, of course, to Ichigo and Ishin. Got a little bit more of a flashback, or finally, I guess you could say the flashback really got to rolling. And we saw Rangiku. Obviously, there's a lot of comic relief in this part of the chapter. And Rangiku, she's trying to figure out where her captain is. And she actually, I think she threw some kind of like pan at her captain. Now, when I first saw this, I'm thinking like, oh shoot, is this Toshiro? Like I actually thought that this was actually in real time. Like I didn't realize we went to a flashback until we actually saw whose face it was. And I found it kind of weird that we had like a bubble saying Rangiku's name and saying the 10th division at first, because I was like, okay, we already know Rangiku. Why is Kubo sitting up here reintroducing it to us and all that? But obviously it became we understood why after we saw who she actually hit and who was her captain, which was Ishin, Ichigo's father, and we found out that his name is Ishin Shiba. So everybody who had the theory out there about him being part of the 10th squad, which I didn't, so I can't claim this one because I never claimed that. I never said he was going to be a part of the 10th squad or anything like that. I do believe that King of Lightning claimed that before, so I have to give him props for claiming about her being part, or him being part of the 10th squad, because it didn't even cross my mind. I didn't even have any idea of what squad he was. I guess because I never actually took the time to actually analyze what squad he was. I was just thinking maybe he was part of the Royal Guard, which seems like I was sadly mistaken. But yeah, so anyway, we finally found it out, and we found out he's part of the Shiba clan, which also makes sense as far as why Ichigo looks kind of like Cayenne, and as far as the thing that what is the woman's name? I keep forgetting what her name is. The Shinigami we always see around Ganju's sister. We all like now we know why she said what she said when we saw the Fullbringers and she was wondering if what was going on with Ichigo was all right. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Like right around the part where Royal Guard came during this arc, the lines that she said. Now we know why she said them, and now we know who she was talking about. So obviously now Ishin, he was like the head of the Shiba clan. So that's pretty interesting to find out. And I'm also the other part of the chapter. We saw Toshiro. He's doing all the paperwork for Ishin, figuring all that out because, of course, we all know at this point, Rangiku is lazy. She does not want to do anything. Even her Zanpakuto, I believe, Hinako is lazy. So, I mean, that's typical Rangiku. She's been lazy since she's been in Soul Society, from as far as I can see. So after that particular scene, we ended up getting a part where Toshiro was talking about basically something going on with an incident in Narukishi, the town Narukishi where Shinigami got killed. So then Ishin pretty much decided, all right, well, I'm getting ready to go ahead and take care of this mess. And, of course, Rankiku's like thinking, all right, I'm going to go ahead and go after you. And, we're going to all do this together. Ishin's pretty much like, nah, he takes off. Leaves Rangiku and Toshiro behind. Oh yeah, and by the way, I like the fact of what Ishin was saying about Toshiro talking about you're gonna be a captain someday, and Rangiku was sitting up there thinking in her head like like what about me? And it's funny, like she's sitting up there like acting as if like she deserves to be a captain, but she's still, even with Toshiro, he's already been doing his Bankai training at that particular time, and now of course in real time we know Toshiro is the captain. He unlocked his Bankai, and Rangiku still hasn't. So it's kind of funny the fact that she was complaining about him being a captain, even or maybe possibly becoming a captain, even though she wasn't even doing Bankai training yet, it seems. So I don't know, I find that a bit funny. But yeah, so I mean, we know that obviously he's heading out, and wherever mission he's going on is supposed to be pretty dangerous. He doesn't even want the captain commander to know about it. And at the end, we see something to do with Aizen. We see Aizen, Gin, and Tosin. They're in a laboratory. The laboratory where we all know Aizen watched Bleach. If anybody recognizes that, because it looks like their typical laboratory. And they're doing some kind of holification project, and they're trying to sniff out Shinji, like the visors, all of them. I don't know why exactly they are, but I guess they're trying to do some kind of experiment. And it's so funny when Aizen said the last line of the chapter, I just about bust out laughing when he said to Gin and Tosin, "Looks like everything is going according to plan." Like typical Aizen. We all know Aizen says that everything going to plan, everything everything is just as I planned it. So I mean, I don't know. I'm glad to see Aizen in this flashback. I don't know if this is what Kubo meant about we're going to see Aizen again, or if he's actually going to make an appearance in this arc as far as in real time or not. But hopefully makes an appearance in this arc as far as real time. I do want to see him come back again. But I just about laughed with that, and actually it makes a lot of sense now why Aizen said later on that he actually knew about Ichigo since the day he was born, because we all know this is somehow going to tie in Aizen, and Aizen may actually be the reason why Ichigo is what he is. So definitely, yeah, this Bleach chapter was overall pretty interesting. I mean, the beginning half we got a little explanation from Oetsu, just going in a little bit further in depth, explaining about the whole why Ichigo wasn't picked by the Asuchi. It wasn't just because they didn't like him or something like that. It's because they're not a part of Oetsu, pretty much. Like basically, if Ichigo would have had an Asuchi that came from Oetsu, from my understanding, Oetsu would have been able to help him. But since Ichigo doesn't even know his own roots, Oetsu has no way of being able to help him. It probably would be the same thing as if, like, let's say, an Arrancar. We all know Arrancar, when they become or I should say, yeah, when Arrancar become Arrancar, they get their own, like, I guess, Zanpakuto in a way. It's somewhat like a Zanpakuto, but it has their hollow power sealed within it. Obviously, he wouldn't be able to fix something like that. But let's say somebody's resurrection was like messed up or something along those lines, because it's not an Asuchi and it's hollow power. So it's probably like a similar thing with Ichigo. Like he can't help Ichigo because Ichigo isn't. He didn't have. He didn't. His Asuchi did not come from Oetsu. So that's pretty much an explanation on that. Now, as for the part with Ishin, the flashback part, this flashback, I mean, I can definitely tell things are going to heat up pretty quick. I mean, when you look at right now, you have this whole Hollow incident. At the end, we see, of course, Eisen at the end, and we all know when Eisen's up to something, things get pretty crazy. If this is going to be anything like the turn back the pendulum arc, then we know that things always start off nice and smooth. Of course, we get to see the interactions of the captains, but then once you start getting towards the end of things, that's when you have those big plot twists. You have the of course, the big confrontation where we find out, as far as like I remember during the turn back the pendulum arc, we see when Shinji, or was it Shinji, or I forgot which visor approached Kensei, but we saw them all holifying. We saw the whole incident going down, and then it just became, a big cluster, pretty much a clusterfuck of them all sitting up there fighting each other, and them holifying, and everybody was turning into hollows. So I'm interested in seeing what leads to one Ishin getting injured, because I definitely think they're going to be the ones to actually injure him, because of course we know Misaki somehow she ends up saving him from the hollow. So I mean, obviously Eisen has something to do with this, which explains why he got Ishin gets injured. Because I wondered, like, how did he just get injured by like a regular old hollow? But if Eisen's into it, we know he could have manufactured this hollow or done something to it to make this thing like specifically counter Ishin or whatever. Since he always has everything like according to plan. I mean, Eisen is like Eisen and Orochimaru, like from Naruto, are like pretty much the same. They're like mad geniuses and know exactly what they're doing with stuff, except Eisen like can for some reason like know what's coming next in the plot exactly. So I don't know, man, but um definitely expect next chapter, of course, Ishin to probably confront the situation. I'm thinking that we're probably mainly going to just focus back in flashback mode for probably all of next chapter. Maybe see at the end, like maybe Misaki will show up at the end of the chapter, because I think it's probably going to get close to that moment pretty quick, since we just left off for that moment. He's probably going to fight against whatever he has to fight against, that hollow. Observe the situation. At the end, we're gonna see her probably save him, and then probably the following week, that's when things will finally get past that part where Misaki comes and saves Ishin, and then we can, I guess, see where it goes from there and how he ends up leaving the Shiba clan. But pretty much that's all my thoughts on this week's Bleach chapter. Just let me know what you guys think. And before I go, I want to let you guys know I have a new rating system that I actually am going to implement today. Now, let me know how you guys think of this, but I'm thinking about rating chapters like this, where let's say you have a really bad Bleach chapter. A bad Bleach chapter would be human level. If you have, your okay chapter, then I would say, okay, that would be about seated officer level. Then if you have a, I'd say good level or a good chapter, then it would probably be vice captain level. Really good chapter, captain level. If you have like an amazing chapter, like I mean, really not too many problems with it at all. I mean, just one of those great chapters, such as mm, like the chapter, or maybe we saw Aizen become a transcendent being for the first time, like we found out he had the Hogyaku implemented in his body. Then that would be like I'd say maybe a captain level chapter. And any higher than that, like let's say the chapter was Ichigo when he first, no, maybe not when he first went to his hollow form. I'd say maybe like when the final part when him and Byakuya fought, that would be like, let's say, Royal Guard level. And if the chapter is so good that it is like making Shonen Jump history, where I am just thinking this chapter is off the chain, where this chapter amazed me. I've never seen something like this in Bleach, or let's say it's just something rare. Like I would say a chapter like that, or actually a scene like that, to me, that would make transcendent level, would probably be Ichigo versus Ukiura, when Hollow Ichigo fought against Ukiura. I mean, that made Bleach history right there, and heck, I would even go as far as to say that's one of the best fights in shonen animes from what I've seen. From what I've seen of shonen series, I'm not gonna say I've seen every shonen series and say that's just the best out of all, but I mean, it's one of my favorite fights. And I definitely think a lot of people tend to lean towards that fight, and a lot of people were impressed with that fight. I mean, when I first saw it, I was thinking Ichigo looked like he was straight up dead. So I don't know. I'm gonna say, as far as that's the rating system. I'm gonna put it. This chapter obviously isn't at any like transcendent being level, but I would say the spiritual pressure that this chapter to me gave off is more like I'd say a vice captain level. I wouldn't put it at captain level, but vice captain level was, pretty good, pretty entertaining. Didn't really have too many problems, and the pacing overall, had a nice flow to it. So anyway, this is pretty much my thoughts on this week's Bleach chapter. This chapter gave off pretty much a vice captain level spiritual pressure, and just let me know how you think the rating system is. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you later.